graduates who obtained their
Dames en here, die akademiese prosessie sal binnekort inbeweeg. U word versoek om asseblief op te staan.
Bomma le bontate, molokoloko wa dirutegi o tla tsena mo nakong e kopana. Le kgopelwa go ema. Ladies and gentlemen, the academic procession will enter shortly. You're kindly requested to stand.
By the powers vested in me, I hereby constitute this assembly as a legal congregation of the University of Pretoria. During this assembly, degrees with all the associated rights and privileges will be conferred to the candidates whose names appear in the program. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to join us in silent prayer or meditation to give thanks for the achievements of our students. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as Chancellor of the University of Pretoria, I extend a hearty word of welcome to you at this graduation ceremony. In particular, I extend a hearty word of welcome to the Dean of Law, Professor E. Skuman, Deputy Dean of Law, Professor C. Maimela, Deputy Director, Student Services, Mr. R. Matekhane, chairpersons of schools, heads of departments, directors, emeriti and honorary professors, and other lecturers and their spouses. Representative of the Student Representative Council, who will present the SRC academic honorary colors, all persons to whom degrees honored colleagues, graduates, guests. Human rights law and practice changes lives. Our master's and doctoral graduates here today on International Human Rights Day will change lives throughout our continent and the world. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of human rights and democracy in this day and age, where both are being challenged and are retrogressing in many countries globally. We need the Center for Human Rights in our Faculty of Law more than words can express. as a Pan-African Center of Excellence that has built up a phenomenal alumni network of lawyers and national and international leaders who advocate for human rights and democracy. It upholds UP's mission to be a proactive leader, an authentic voice for Africa, in Africa, by Africans. The programs bridge divides in every way, including the divide between English common law and French civil law worlds, with the inclusion of Africa's Francophone countries and with the inclusion of an equal number of women and men postgraduates. Today is the 25th graduation of the Masters in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa, or HRDA, which was launched in 2000 and is part of the worldwide global campus of human rights. UP is the African hub with 12 partners across Africa. The students over the years are from 40 African countries and from countries beyond Africa's borders, including Spain, the US, France, Germany, Switzerland, and Taiwan. The HRDA Masters Program is part of a European Union-funded network of similar programs, all thanks to the persistence and persuasion of the Center for Human Rights co-founder and previous director, the late Professor Christoph Heyns, an internationally renowned human rights lawyer, legal educator, and activist. In his memory is the Christoph Heyns African Human Rights Moot Court Competition, which, as you all know, is the continent's largest gathering of students, academics, and judges around the theme of human rights in Africa. Professor Heyns passed in 2021 and lived to see the achievement of the master's and doctoral programs embodied in many highly qualified, committed alumni who are using the power and privilege for which these degrees were conceived to the best of human development. His legacy was continued by Professor Frans Viljoen, who headed the center from 2007 to 2023, and the current acting director, Professor Nkata Murungi, as well as the countless dedicated center staff over all these years. As you know, the center runs 5 master's programs, and today also marks 10 years of the Masters in Sexual and Reproductive Rights in Africa. The alumni from all the programs keep in close contact and occupy a range of highly influential leadership roles in the practice and profession of human rights, as lawyers in government, as academics and deans in faculties of law, as heads of NGOs, and in top positions in international bodies such as the International Criminal Court, the African Union's 3 human rights bodies, the Pan-African Parliament, and the South African Human Rights Commission. We can proudly say that South Africa stands out in the continent for its protection of human rights, including minority rights such as the rights of children and women, as well as gender and reproductive rights. In South Africa, the fact that we have a far more inclusive and transparent society with our very progressive constitution singles us out as a hallmark of what it means to be a constitutional democracy, and in many ways represents the mind shift needed in other countries. The standard of human rights graduates produced by our Center for Human Rights is outstanding. The center receives more than 400 applications each year for the master's program. To the Faculty of Humanities graduates, the intellectual home of the liberal arts, you have benefited from the foundation of a quality education from one of the oldest and most established faculties in South Africa. This comprehensive faculty boasts 12 different academic departments, 2 teaching units, and a number of specialized research centers and institutes. Of the 211 academic staff members, 74% have a doctorate and 72 are NRF-rated researchers. Our academic curricula, research and activities, and community engagement initiatives not only address the diverse needs of local communities, but also help shape and drive international endeavors and debates. With the backing of these rich resources and your hard work and dedication, we trust that, like the graduates that have gone before you, you will be easily employed as adaptive, creative, and confident professionals. We are incredibly proud of you. We are keenly aware that it is a highly complex world in which you are developing your careers, with far too much conflict, inequality, and disregard for human life and human rights. Each one of you is a beacon of hope, empowered to protect the vulnerable and marginalized, and to work towards a more equitable, just society. Use your ability well towards a thriving society that we hope to see one day. Be responsive and remain connected and alive to all levels of human condition and your critical role in contributing to the well-being and advancement of Africa. I have been asked to inform the gathering here that after the official graduation ceremony, there will be a 5-minute health break, and the session will then continue here in the Aula with the award ceremony of the Center for Human Rights. Congratulations on your wonderful achievement, and well done to each and every one of you. Thank you. I now request the Dean to introduce to me candidates present whose names appear in the program.
Madam Chancellor, the following candidates have all complied with the requirements for the degree Master of Arts, specializing in digital culture and media. Riley Ringer, with distinction.
Hi, ma'am.
The first one.
Congratulations. Come. Congratulations.
Madam Chancellor, the supervisors will now introduce the doctoral candidates to you.
Madam Chancellor, I present to you Nelson Bayembu, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Laws with a thesis titled towards an African approach to reparations for harm to indigenous peoples under the supervision of Professor Frans Viljoen. In this thesis, the candidate explored the contours of an African approach to reparations for the harm experienced by African indigenous peoples. Because of the African regional human rights system is in a nascent stage of developing such an approach, it provides incomplete guidance and grapples with issues relating to assessing harm, state centrism, and adequate remedial measures for intergenerational justice. This thesis identified the communal and intergenerational nature of the harm on indigenous peoples as critical characteristics of their experience. It concludes that reparations should be based on an Afrocentric paradigm that prioritizes traditional African remedial practices and indigenous peoples' perspectives in the indigenous reparation discourse. In this regard, the candidate recommends a dualistic harm assessment approach, an experimentalist regulatory approach to reparations, and retrospective expansion of tribunal jurisdiction to remedy intergenerational injustice and collective harm experienced by African indigenous peoples. Madam Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Laws with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Madam Chancellor, I introduce to you Tirani Foster Maluleke, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Laws with a thesis titled Compliance with Decent Work Standards by Multinational Enterprises, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the candidate examined the shortcomings of national legislation and international law in addressing decent work deficiencies in global value chains. The study argued that developing countries frequently lower their labor standards to attract foreign direct investment from multinational enterprises. This leads to a race to the bottom, in as far as ILO members states reduce their labor standards to enhance their appeal to multinational enterprises. The study argues that the ILO regrettably lacks the authority to enforce compliance with labor standards against multinational enterprises. This has resulted in multinational enterprises adopting voluntary self-regulatory mechanisms, which has unfortunately only yielded limited positive outcomes. The thesis has developed recommendations in favor of the concurrent use of voluntary and binding mechanisms to ensure that MNEs adhere to decent work standards. Madam Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I confer the degree Doctor of Laws with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Madam Chancellor, I introduce to you Sikamo Yamgela Ndola, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Laws with a thesis titled Maritime Boundary Delimitation in Africa, Developing a Normative and Institutional Approach for the African Union Border Program to Manage Maritime Boundary Delimitations, prepared under the supervision of Judge Dira Kladi. In this thesis, The candidate has developed and recommended a normative and institutional approach whereby the African Union Border Program can assist in the management of maritime boundary delimitations involving coastal member states within the regional and sub-regional legal infrastructure of the continent. To fulfill this objective, the candidate addressed questions on, firstly, the extent to which the mandate of the border program provides for maritime boundary delimitation. Secondly, the efficacy of Africa's legal environment in addressing maritime boundary disputes. And lastly, the extent to which the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, in particular, and in international law generally, provide tools applicable to the border program to aid maritime boundary delimitation on the continent. Madam Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
Madam Chancellor, I introduce to you Ayodele Olubunmi Oyedokun, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctors of Laws with a thesis titled The Contemporary Complexities Affecting the Assessment of the Legal Criterion of Non-International Armed Conflict under International Humanitarian Law, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the contemporary complexities affecting the assessment of the legal criterion of a non-international armed conflict under international humanitarian law, the candidate assessed whether, in the existing legal framework, to determine when a non-international armed conflict exists, the Tadic threshold remains fit for purpose to assess contemporary armed conflicts. The reality for those tasked with conflict classification is that non-international armed conflicts occurring in Africa and beyond are no longer akin to civil war, where two parties engage each other. The reality of coalitions, alliance pledging, and multiple actors active in a geographic and temporal vacuum is a legal and practical challenge. Oyedekun's thesis responds to this challenge by proposing an operational framework to determine the coalition criteria of non-state armed groups. The candidate argues for a cumulative assessment technique of violence to be adapted in specified settings as articulated in his thesis. Madam Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on Mr. Oyedokun.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Laws with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Madam Chancellor, I introduce to you Ruben Joseph Charles Otten, who has complied with the requirements for the degree of Doctors of Laws with a thesis titled The Constitutionality of Retirement in South African Labor Law, prepared under my supervision and with Professor Stefan van Eyck as a co-supervisor. In this thesis, The Constitutionality of Mandatory Retirement in South African Law, the candidate examined the constitutionality of mandatory retirement in relation to the constitutional rights to fair labor practices and unfair age discrimination. The thesis concludes that South African mandatory retirement law is unconstitutional pursuant to a critical analysis of the prevailing mandatory retirement law, the applicable constitutional law, the relevant international and regional law, and comparative law of Germany and Canada. To address this unconstitutionality, it is argued that Section 187, subsection 2B of the Labor Relations Act should be repealed, and that the Code of Good Practice developed in the thesis should be adopted to serve as a guide for the application of mandatory retirement. The thesis breaks new ground by enhancing the applicable legal and theoretical framework and by offering tailored solution to the constitutionality question at issue. Madam Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Laws with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Madam Chancellor, I introduce to you Namdi Stanislaus Stanley Umenze, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Laws with a thesis titled Enforcement of Victims' Rights to Reparation for Violation of International Humanitarian Law by Peacekeepers, prepared under my supervision and with Professor Martha Bradley from University of Johannesburg as co-supervisor. In this thesis, the candidate examined the prospect of the victim's right to reparation where the misconduct committed by peacekeepers constitute a violation of international humanitarian law. The study argued that the United Nations is responsible for providing reparations to the victims where it exercised command and control over such impugnable acts by the peacekeepers. Arguing that the United Nations immunity militates against the victim's right of access to justice against the United Nations toward obtaining reparations, the study suggests measures to improve the United Nations standard for providing reparations for the victims of peacekeepers' misconduct. The study contributes to scholarship by presenting the need and the measures to ensure reparations for the victims of international humanitarian law violations committed by the peacekeepers. This issue has hitherto received little attention. Madam Chancellor, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Laws with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations, sir. Thank you.
Madam Chancellor, the following candidates have all complied with the requirements for the degree Master of Laws, specializing in human rights and democratization in Africa. Michael Abuneka.
Congratulations, come.
Thank you.
Oluwatosin Adegun with distinction. She also receives the Nelson Mandela Prize for the best student in the Masters in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa as a whole.
Congratulations. Well done, eh?
Razan Ali.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Akot Chep.
Congratulations.
Nicholas Cheriot with distinction.
Congratulations.
Lidawe Dontema.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Fenot Hailu.
Congratulations, Fenot.
Marie Jolaqua.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Moffat Kadima.
Moffat, congratulations.
Mukama Kansiime.
Congratulations.
Lorian Mahaka with distinction. He also receives the Victor Dankwa Prize for the best student in the module Human Rights in Africa in the Masters in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa.
Well done, congratulations.
Tito Magoti.
Congratulations, Tito.
Mayen.
Come. Congratulations.
Merville Mugisha. She receives the Keba Mbaye Prize for the student who obtained the highest percentage for the mini dissertation in the Masters in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa.
Congratulations, thank you.
Neville Mupita.
Congratulations.
Zororai Nkomo.
Congratulations.
Reese Pierce Jones.
Congratulations.
Munguiko Ramadan.
Congratulations.
Luda Sekha. She receives the Ubuntu Prize for the student who best embodied the values and spirit of Ubuntu during the Masters in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Eden Shewalefa.
Congratulations.
Madam Chancellor, the following candidates have all complied with the requirements for the degree Master of Laws, specializing in multidisciplinary human rights. Margaretha Dunkel-Kok.
Congratulations.
Madam Chancellor, we have another candidate who have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Laws, specializing in human rights and democratization in Africa, Elsa Tapsoba.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Mleti, congratulations.
Madam Chancellor, the following candidates have all complied with the requirements for the degree Master of Laws, specializing in sexual and reproductive rights in Africa. Ngozikugwa Chukwuma.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Tracy Lachuma.
Congratulations.
Tambutsai Manjonjo.
Congratulations.
Alex Nyabuti with distinction.
Well done.
Annette Upio.
Congratulations, Annette.
Madam Chancellor, this concludes the graduates.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is an opportune moment to give our graduates a big hand for their hard work and perseverance. And I would now like to ask our graduates to applaud their families, friends, and spouses for their support over the years. We have now come to the end of the proceedings. Before we close, I would like to ask you to remain seated for the second session hosted by the Center for Human Rights. For now, you are requested to stand for the singing of the national anthem and to remain standing until the assembly has been dissolved and the academic procession has left the auditorium. The words of the National Assembly are on the back cover of the program and will also appear on the screens. By the powers vested in me, I hereby dissolve this assembly of the University of Pretoria.
Afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. Just a quick reminder again, like the Chancellor had said, we have our second session that's about to start. But in the meantime, while we sort out logistics, we will be playing a video here, courtesy of the HRDA 2024 class.
Na leo tena waiteni paparazi warushe kwa mitandao, siataki
akamtinda soma na kamwili kananona, wewe mwenyewe si unaona, ainasema bora bora nichote maisha mafupi ni siku yani nilitesekero.
Hello. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the HRDA class of 2024. Now, besides the academics and the seriousness of our course, we've been able to form bonds and family within our class. And this has been epitomized by what we have done as a celebration of us getting to the end of this journey, which is the HRDA 2024 cook-off. We've got 3 teams comprised of the entire cohort and split into regions. So we've got a team from West and North Africa, another from East and Central Africa, and another from Southern Africa, all preparing dishes they either love or enjoy, sharing cultures, sharing music. It's been a beautiful day of togetherness, of bonding, of unity, and just of a celebration of the year we've had. And I think this truly embodies what our year has been. Outside of the academics, we have built a relationship. We have formed a family and a bond that we look forward to seeing even on a professional level across the continent and beyond.
Bonjour, assalamu alaikum. Habari zenu. This is the South African team, and we're here to win the 2024 HRD cooking competition. Kantini, introduce for us pocho pocho ambazo tumepika.
From East Africa, we prepare a wonderful delicacy. First on the menu is the famous East African chapati from Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. It is famous for the global phenomenon called the Rolex. Good for breakfast and for lunch if you're a bachelor. This is also the beef stew, also from the East African community. We also prepare maharage, otherwise known as beans, another very beautiful delicacy from East Africa. We also prepare the East African spinach for vegetable, and you can enjoy it as well as the beef stew, which is common across the continent, but especially made in the East African dish. Thank you. Nicholas, what do you think about the program?
Thank you, Katsina. One of the most important highlights is the festival of the program, because it produces graduates who are well sought outside the full African region, and even globally when it comes to human rights and normalization issues. I don't know, Mayen, what do you have for us?
السنة تحتفل بالعيد برمضان بالإيستر بالسنة الجديد الإثيوبي. هذا حاجة في البروجرام إحنا كلنا جايين من حتات مختلفة، من كلتشرز مختلفة، من ريليجنز مختلفة. مايكل؟
This program is rich and deep. We introduce people to African professionals which at the same time. And the beauty is about the second semester where the rest of the world and experiences are great.
So we go to class for 7 a.m. and in the class at 5 in the evening. I also have to do assignment for the day, so it's quite challenging. And in the rest of the day, we have to validation that you can.
Nous recommandons au Centre des droits de l'homme de rejoindre d'autres partenaires et aussi s'intéresser beaucoup plus aux universités situées en Tanzanie, là où il y a la Cour africaine des droits de l'homme, et aussi en Gambie, là où il y a la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme.
Yes, so the HRD 2024 has always been about community and fun.
And it's the West African team. As you can see, this is the entire team. This is the entire team we have representing and there. So for today's competition, West African team is coming with the lines and Kashike. So the lines is handled by Dorcas and Fatu, and then the Achake, Fabian and Melissa.
So my main takeaway of this program is this program as
one of the main challenges in terms of facility. Like for instance, now we're here so spacious, we are all covered now, we'll secure this one after us. So I think next day we will take students to the fair. Et j'espère que nous allons gagner cette compétition.
Which is pounded beef. We've got lentils done in a Mauritian kind of way. It's going to be good. Southern Africa is bringing it, eh?
And you know what? Not just Southern Africa, but I think what's more important about this exercise and everything that we've done as a class is we're able to come together. We are people that know how to act into the role. You know, everyone brings their own variety, just like what we're saying. Someone brings this and that. This is what is going to be throughout the year, us coming together as a family, doing everything that we can.
versus Team Southern Africa have both scored 508.5. So we have a tie. This tie will be broken at a soccer game on Sunday between the two teams. Let's see who will take it. And that's the spirit of HRD. Any opportunity to do something together, we're doing it. Let's see what happens.
Just won't be new, whatever, oh, whatever takes my love to put the lonely days behind us somewhere down. Whatever takes my love. Whatever takes my love.
Quiet nights of quiet stars, quiet chords from my guitar, floating on the silence that surrounds us. Quiet thoughts and quiet dreams, quiet walks by quiet streams, and a window that looks out on Corcovado. Oh, how lovely.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for staying to celebrate with us the awards ceremony. My name is Michelle Maziwisa. I manage, woohoo! Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I manage the Master's Program in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa, and it's my absolute pleasure to celebrate our graduates and to welcome their family and friends that are here to support. We're so glad that you could come. To get us started, because it's already a few minutes past 3, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite the Dean of the Law Faculty, Professor Elsabi Skuman, who's going to give us the welcoming remarks, and also, I don't know how many of you are aware there is a Dean's Essay competition. So there's a competition. And rumor has it there might be prize money, but please help me to welcome Prof. to give the welcoming remarks.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And a very warm welcome to you. You've just been through an hour of graduation, and I want to congratulate each and every one of you. This is a major achievement, whether you received a master's or a doctorate. We are incredibly proud of you. So please give yourselves a big hand of applause. You know, we're very proud of the Center of Human Rights that sits within the Faculty of Law. As you all know, the Faculty of Law is the #1 law faculty on the African continent. And the reason why we are #1 is because of what we do. In that context, the Center for Human Rights, they are also #1, I dare say, in the world. It also means that when you graduate from the center, from this faculty, there is a responsibility on you to make a contribution to society, to the community where you find yourself in, and also to the continent and the world. We want you to pursue social justice. We want you to carry this message out into the world, because if you go out into the world and you do this, you also help us to remain #1. So you are also part of this goal of ours to always remain the best, and not just the best, but also having the most impact in society. You know, we do a lot of research at the university. We also do teaching, and we're also committed to community engagement. We now talk about curricular community engagement, which means that it is not a third wheel any longer. It sits within, it's embedded in our research and teaching. And this focus on community engagement, community impact, it's not always simple to measure. But we know that when you go out into the community and you advocate for human rights, you also sit on very important bodies, and you are part of institutions that advance and promote human rights. So you can have impact wherever you go. I remember when I became dean towards the end of 2019, the HRDA program had just turned 20 years old. As you heard today, it is now 25 years old. At the time, we published the alumni diaries, and it was so interesting to see where the alumni had gone. It was heartwarming to see the impact that they had had. So in this instance, we are actually able to measure the impact. We also know that our alumni come back to the center to participate in our programs. They come back to do research. They come back to do doctorates. Those of you who received master's degrees today, we hope to see you all back for doctorates at the Faculty of Law. We also know that our alumni are very loyal to the center and to the faculty, and they love coming back here. So always know that you're welcome here. Here is a home for you, whether you choose to teach or research, or whether you're engaged in advocacy. There is a home here for you, and you're welcome to come back anytime. I'm now going to proceed to the Dean's Essay Competition. Every year, there is this competition towards the end where we ask students in the HRDA program to write a brief essay on their experience. From the essays that I've read, it's very interesting what students write. Invariably, they write about the merits of this program, how good this program is, their experience here at the University of Pretoria, and also the camaraderie that they have built throughout the year being involved in this program. They also establish their own networks, and those networks are so important because when you go out into the world, those are the people that you have to stay in touch with. You know, to study isn't always fun. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I believe. Also, some of our students get a wee little bit homesick when they are away from their families, and so it's not always easy. I also want to thank the families who support their students throughout this period. You know, when you talk about human rights, you must understand that it is a very wide field. This is a specialist area, but it requires hard work and dedication to become as good as you have become. I read all these stories in the essays, and in a way, they are all small testimonials to this wonderful master's program. We have to select 3 winners. Unfortunately, there have to be winners. And there's also a small cash prize attached to each of those. I'm sure that will make you very, very excited. So I'm going to ask the following graduates now to please come up to the stage. Cedric Kadima. Zekatelo Trele. And Ntando Yenkosi Moyo. So, Cedric, congratulations. You were awarded the 3rd prize. Congratulations. And it's for you. Congratulations, Zekatelo. You were awarded the 2nd prize. Thando Yankosi, congratulations. You came first.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, all 3 of you. As I said, it's always tough to pick winners, right? But that's the race of life, right? But you also carry with you the experiences of all the candidates in this program. So congratulations. And I'm sure that your fellow graduates will also be very happy for you. Congratulations. I'm taking over a little bit from the program director now, but I'm going to introduce the next speaker, and that is Professor Kwadwo Aplageo Atua. He is the chair of the HRDA Council of Directors from the University of Ghana. Professor, we would like you to address the graduates.
I recall a certain man who was invited to give a speech. He forgot his script. He came and said, "Today is a great day." And he said, "A great day is today." He was still searching for his script in his pockets and continued saying, "Today is a great day. And a great day is today." That ended the speech, or that he could say at the ceremony. Fortunately, I have my speech here. And first of all, I want to say a big, big congratulations to the class 2024 for the graduation ceremony you had today. So that tells us that to every beginning there's an end. There's a time to sow and a time to reap, as the book of Ecclesiastes says in chapter 3, verses 7 and 8. You came to sow, and today all the efforts you exerted is being recognized and rewarded. Congratulations once again. You were given the freedom to seek and receive information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, some orally, some in writing or in print, and others in the form of art. And I believe you know which article in the ICCPR I'm referring to, Article 19. You were also educated, and the education was directed at the full development of your human personality and the sense of its dignity, and also directed towards strengthening the respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. Article 13 of the ICSCR, Right to Education. Your training covered the epistemological task of the university, which is accumulation of knowledge. This was realized through democratization of the classroom, which created a platform for you students and us academics to jointly use our agency to think, reflect, and invent new knowledge. This epitomizes Paulo Freire's idea of education as a communion between participants in a dialogue. But we're not only interested in mere accumulation of knowledge. In addition, the center, together with its partner institutions, fulfilled its political task of developing your political consciousness, as articulated by Jürgen Habermas, in order to produce extra functional abilities, that is, professional ethics, that champion the practice of critical thinking, democratic processes, as well as human rights in you as students. That, in the African context, is the pro-democratic purpose of the university, as recognized in the Kampala Declaration on Intellectual Freedom and Social Responsibility, in which one of the preambles says, "The struggle for intellectual freedom is an integral part of the struggle of our people for human rights and democracy." Now that the university has fulfilled its epistemological and political tasks and enabled you to realize your right to education and right to freedom of expression, you are reminded that these rights are not to be enjoyed in a vacuum. In fact, the right to freedom of expression and the right to education is meant to not only to shape you, but also to give you a task or to enable you to perform a task. So freedom of expression goes on to say that you are to impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally, in writing, or in print, in the form of art, or through any other media of your choice. Right to education also says you are equipped, or right to education is to equip you to participate effectively in a free society and to promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among all nations and all racial, ethnic, or religious groups, and further the activities of the United Nations, and by extension the AU, the sub-regional community, and other institutions for the maintenance of peace. That is the advocacy part. You were trained, but not only trained to limit yourselves to be armchair human rights defenders. You need to be in the trenches and get your socks dirty. This is an opportunity to mix gown with town. Let us remember the Osegas, the Masekos, the Kanziras, and the rest. The university is located in the society, and society should benefit from your experience, not only through knowledge sharing, but through advocacy work. The academic freedom you enjoyed here, the knowledge and experience obtained here, the networks developed here, should serve as a catalyst for democratic enhancement and for the benefit of Africa. So in conclusion, I say, go and make disciples of human rights and democracy in Africa. God bless you, God bless Africa, God bless the human rights movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those wise words, Professor. At the University of Pretoria, we are committed to teach you the skills that you need to go out into the world. And I heard one of those mentioned, critical thinking. That's the one skill that we need, all of us need. So you have also been taught that in this program, and we believe that you will use that to very good effect. It is now my pleasure to introduce the representative for the head of trade at the delegation of the European Union. And we also would like to thank the European Union for their support through the Global Campus. So please, Ms. Marika Yakas, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Marika sends her apologies. I am Rosanella Celebi. I am also a representative at the European Union. Dean, professors, Excellency, all the distinguished guests, and most importantly, graduates, it's really a privilege to join you today for this momentous occasion. I'm so happy to be celebrating Human Rights Day today. It's really a celebration. I just come from actually the Franco-German Award, where a South African professor, academic, was just celebrated and won a Human Rights Prize. So it's really nice to be at another celebration celebrating you. We gather not only to celebrate your academic achievements, but also to honor the principles of human dignity, equality, and justice that underpin the work of the Center for Human Rights. The Center is a beacon of excellence in human rights education with a Pan-African focus that has really earned it global and regional recognition. Through its innovative academic programs, the Center equips graduates to address some of the most pressing issues facing our continent and the world. Today's graduates, you embody the transformative power of education in advancing human rights. These programs go beyond imparting knowledge. They cultivate leadership, they foster critical thinking, they build capacity to address the complex interplay between human rights and the various fields in which you have worked in. Today, graduates from the Center have gained expertise that enables them to tackle challenges in diverse contexts, whether it is strengthening national and regional human rights frameworks, navigating the intersections of trade, investment, and development, championing sexual and reproductive rights, advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities, or adopting a multidisciplinary approach to address complex human rights challenges. The value of these programs is immeasurable. The Center's Pan-African approach and emphasis on partnership, whether with universities, governments, or civil society, ensures that its impact is both broad and deep. Graduates leave here not only with advanced degrees, but with a network of peers and collaborators across the continent, united in their shared commitment to justice and equality. As you move forward, I encourage you to embrace what the Center of Human Rights has prepared you, to bridge the gap between learning and action, between academic theory and human rights advocacy. The knowledge you have gained here is not just a foundation, but a call to action. It has equipped you with a toolkit for questioning injustice, crafting innovative solutions, and advocating effectively for the voiceless. It enables you to turn complex human rights challenges into opportunities to drive sustainable change in your communities and beyond. Being a human rights defender requires courage, resilience, and a commitment to standing up for the rights of others, often in difficult and uncertain contexts. But it also requires a kind of deep understanding and critical thinking that education fosters. The world needs leaders like you. Your academic journey has provided you not only with this understanding, but also with networks and platforms to amplify your voice and impact. As scholars and defenders of human rights, you are uniquely positioned to create a world where dignity, equality, and fairness are not just ideals, but are lived realities. This dual role carries immense value. It reminds us that ideas and advocacy are not separate pursuits, but complementary forces that together can shape a more just and equitable world. I encourage you to embrace this dual identity as you move forward. Continue to learn, to teach, to question, and to advocate. Remember that knowledge is a form of power, and its greatest use is in service to others. I extend my deepest gratitude to the Center for Human Rights, partners, and families who have supported you on your journey. Your collective efforts remind us of the importance of collaboration in advancing human rights. We at the European Union are appreciative of the partnership we have with the Center for Human Rights and of our collaboration to defend, uphold, and promote human rights. Congratulations once again to each one of you. May you go forward in purpose, in courage, and an unwavering commitment to freedom and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and my sincere apologies for misrepresenting you. As you heard, it's really important that you remain a scholar. In a sense, your journey has just begun. You have now finished your master's, but there is a road ahead of you, and you carry a lot of responsibility in this very, very important area of the law into the world. Thank you very much. We are blessed to have so many excellent partners working with the Center for Human Rights. I'm now going to introduce another one of our partners, the Ambassador of Sweden to South Africa, His Excellency, Mr. Hakan Juholt. I want to say that the University of Pretoria has actually become your home now, your home away from home. I often see the ambassador here at the University of Pretoria, so I can only deduce that he loves us. The Swedish government has been very supportive of the center and very specifically the ambassador. We are supported through the CEDA grant and also their work on sexual and reproductive health rights globally. So, Ambassador, it is a huge privilege and honor to welcome you here today. We also appreciate your interest in the University of Pretoria and very specifically the Center for Human Rights. I don't know how long you have left in your term, but I hope you are still going to be in South Africa for a very long time because we treasure this collaboration with you and your partnership. The floor is yours.
Wow, what an introduction. Dean, professors, students, I'm honored to be invited to celebrate your achievement. And I want you to know that today, the citizens, the friends, the families, my countrymen tonight are walking the streets of the hometowns up to their knees in snow, because it's really, really snowy, cold winter in Sweden right now. And that reminds me, when I was in your age, I was standing up to my knees in snow, raising money for the freedom and democracy of Southern Africa. I was, among others, in Sweden organizing the anti-apartheid movement. And I remember specifically when we raised money to Radio Free and when we organized the boycott on Shell products. Because we were in this together, defending human rights, defending democracy, defending equal rights. And for me, and for you, and for everyone on this stage, that is never ever just a theory. That is a daily practice in the living conditions for brothers and sisters all around this world. And we can't let them down. We need you. We need your commitment. We need your skills. We need your energy to be there defending the human rights globally. Because we know, you know that today when we are celebrating the UN Day of Human Rights, the 10th of December, yearly, a very important day, you know that over the last years there have been a tremendous backlash when it comes to democracy and human rights. Hate crimes, threats and hates aimed at women, children, people with sexual orientation, people with race, religion, beliefs. And we have, over the last 10 years, by political leaders, been taught to look upon each other as enemies, not as brothers and sisters, not as a global family. But we must remind ourselves that we are a global family. We belong together. The freedom in my country is worth nothing if people in other countries are denied those rights. That's why we, the people of Sweden, the people of South Africa, we must unite in this struggle, because we can take the globe and we can spin the globe and we can analyze that the majority of the people on that globe today are denied those fundamental rights that we take for granted. And who is there to defend their right? You are. Don't let your generation down. Don't let brothers and sisters in other countries and your own country down. They are depending on you. You have had the education, the training, and the skill to defend their rights. You are today defenders of human rights. You are ambassadors of human rights. So, dear fellow ambassadors, let's please unite. Unite on this struggle, hand in hand, promising each other that human rights is nothing to be written in a textbook, not to be a theory in the book of law, not to be a theory in the Constitution. Defending human rights is what you and I are doing on a daily basis. I'm doing it because I'm an ambassador and an old gray man from Sweden. You are doing it because you are skilled, committed, and you are the future. Don't let your generation down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. That was truly inspiring, but also very serious, because we know that there's a huge responsibility on each of us, but also on you. As the Ambassador said, you now have the skills and the knowledge, and you should carry this out into the world out there. Thank you very much for that message. We are coming to the end of this section now, and before we start with the remarks by class representatives, I have to apologize, I have to excuse myself due to other commitments. I would have loved to have spent the rest of the afternoon with you, but I wish you well, and I hope that, first of all, you can rest a little bit now from the studies, right? But as I said, the work now begins, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
I don't know if I should caution, don't rest too much. Just rest a little bit and then get back to it. Prof, I'd like to thank you for a wonderfully facilitated session. Thank you so much. And to reiterate our gratitude for the continued support from the EU and from the Swedish government. We appreciate the continued support. It helps us to do the work that brings human rights to the ground, to the people. And I also want to acknowledge at this moment the continued support of our Global Campus Africa partners. I don't know if you can just wave wherever you're seated. These are our 12 partners from Global Campus Africa. Thank you. Some are on stage. They commit a lot of their time, not necessarily compensated for their time, but we really appreciate, your support with the supervision, with hosting our students in the second semester, and just being very, supportive and present in the program as our partners. Yes, you can. Now I'd like to switch and invite the class reps. I think we're going to hear from 3 class reps to please come to the front, and we'll excuse our delegates that need to leave now. And I'll also ask Rotondwa Mashige to please come and facilitate the session. Thank you. So you can make your way up to the stage.
Afternoon again. While we wait for the class reps, just another round of applause for you guys. I'm sure it feels like, wow, it was January not so long ago. Now we're at the end of that intensive program, right? So like Michelle said, my name is Rotondo Mashigi. I'm the program coordinator for the Masters in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa. I am not going to take your time a lot. So we have the class reps. We are going to start with Kansime, who will be representing or giving opening remarks on behalf of the HRDA class. And then we have Ms. Ngozi, who will be representing SRRA, and Mana, who will be representing the MDHR class. So I'll just ask that when Kansime is done, the next one will speak, and then the last one will speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rotondwa. The Chancellor, Dean of the Faculty of Law in Absentia, the Acting Director of the Center for Human Rights, the partners who make this program possible, professors and all members of academia, my fellow graduates, specifically from the HRDA cohort of 2024. All protocol observed, good evening. It is an invaluable honor to stand before you this afternoon to perform a task that I feel grossly unqualified for, but trusting that gliding on the wings of the grace of God, I'll be able to say a few things about my distinguished classmates. To be asked to speak about a program of this nature is difficult. Not because what we have covered is hard, but because you are dealing with a group of so many people who have appreciated the course in different ways, and you have made bonds in different contexts. But I will try. But before I proceed, in this year we have suffered a number of personal tragedies. I specifically want to ask for your solidarity and ask all of us to stand up and observe a moment of silence for those of us who have lost their loved ones, specifically for our colleague Fatou Gai, who lost both her parents in the course of this program. May their souls rest in peace. Please have your seats. Our dearest Fatu, words do not suffice to express our deepest love for you, but we offer our unconditional friendship whenever and wherever you may require it. In February 2024, a group of 28 students descended upon the land of South Africa, a land full of historical significance for the continent and for the world, a land of impeccable inspiration. Some anxious, some enthusiastic, and others simply clueless, like myself. We all came to drink from the depth of the wells of what has consistently been the best law faculty in Africa. We gathered in this beautiful city of Pretoria with indescribable ambition and passionate curiosity. Having skipped over the hurdles and muddles of our initial apprehension, we fully immersed ourselves into the adventure of this program. From the thought-provoking interrogations of Professor Maslen through the cruel and dismantling of our prejudices on diversity, till the rough terrain of decolonial approaches by Professor Modiri, we have been refined into an enviable version of African citizens. But this is not for us, and we fully understand it. We are deeply aware of the purpose of our amalgamation, that we were put together in the same boundaries of habitation for such a time as this. And we fully understand that this is important because our continent is in a crisis of confidence. A crisis of confidence that will require skillful and resolute navigation. We have studied human rights in one of the most delicate periods of their existence, with the forces of anti-rights movement, the ever-evolving threat of climate change, and the consistent rise in right-wing populism. It is tempting to imagine, and it is easy to imagine, that our study of human rights then makes no sense, and it has no pragmatic approach in the current state of affairs. But that would be wrong and erroneous. I want to encourage my fellow graduates today that what we have studied matters, and it matters a lot. It matters very much, even more now than it probably ever has, because the continent and the world over, people are counting on us to stand up to the forces of tyranny that they may not be well equipped to confront, given the nuances of their limitation. But we are. We are equipped because trainings like the HRDA give us an ability to be equal to that task. Ladies and gentlemen, we knew that it was this phase of our lives that would prepare us for the days ahead on the continent and in the world. Today, as we graduate, I would like to think, as I have seen most of my colleagues demonstrate, that we know the questions in our communities. We understand the frustrations of our people, and we want to pledge to ourselves before the multitude of these witnesses that we shall not forget the purpose of our calling into these noble environs of the Center for Human Rights. It would be remiss of me to conclude this address without acknowledging the efforts of the partners of this program, the leadership and staff of the Center for Human Rights, the Faculty of Law, and the University of Pretoria. We truly thank you for making this year's program another enviable success. It is our hope that your sacrifices find fruition in our manifold pursuits that seek to give back that which you have invested in us. To my fellow graduates, not only have you earned this accomplishment, but you have done so in gracious aplomb. To some, we may be a cohort of many contradictions, but undeniably we leave our mark on this institution because we lived and breathed what we were taught. We stood for one another with impassioned resolve, and sometimes we were deeply misunderstood for it. But we do not regret it. We cherish it. Indeed, we carry this resilient spirit harnessed within the walls of the center to our various communities and countries to challenge the status quo and make the desired impact. On this day of celebration, we are also, unfortunately, rudely reminded that our day-to-day interactions will suffer an inevitable pause, but not a perpetual one. It matters not which skies we may find ourselves under after today. we are connected by cords that are invisible to the eye. For many of us, our love, friendship, and indeed professional and personal collaboration shall continue beyond the walls of the University of Pretoria and the safe spaces of the Center for Human Rights. We have gained more than an academic community. We have gained a family that we had no business getting into, but that we now are stuck with, but we are not complaining. We are just excited about what lies ahead, because I have an intriguingly good feeling that we are going to change the world. In conclusion, let me borrow the words of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, when he says that to whom much is given, much is required. We have received a treasure trove of wisdom and knowledge, which we steward not for ourselves, but for our generation, that is counting on us to show up, and show up we must. I hope that each one of us will take their stand and do their part in this extremely important generational mandate. I thank you. God bless you, and God bless Africa.
Thank you. Good day, honorable faculty members, distinguished guests, family, friends, graduates, and my remarkable class, the SRA class of 2024. My name is Ngozi Chukwuma. Standing here today is a profound honor and a privilege that I hold with immense gratitude and humility. Thank you for entrusting me with the opportunity to speak on behalf of such an extraordinary group of individuals, the SRA class of 2024. This moment belongs to all of us, and it is because of us, our collective efforts, resilience, and courage that we are here today. When I received the email asking me to deliver this speech, my first reaction was panic. What did they even say in these things, I thought. Soon I realized that panic had been a recurring companion throughout this journey, a journey I know most of us could relate to. From the pressure of deadlines to the intellectual challenges of grappling with the complexities of human rights law, we have faced it all, and yet we are here. This moment is a testament to our grit and resilience. In my culture, the Igbo people of Nigeria say, "Kwechiri," which means stand strong and don't give up. Even in the face of adversity, that spirit of persistence has defined this program and our experience within it. The LLM in Human Rights, specializing in SRA program, has been no ordinary academic pursuit. It has been a transformative journey that has tested our intellects and our convictions. We have been challenged to rethink justice, equity, and freedom in ways that will forever shape advocacy and work in the field. For me, the program was a masterclass in diversity and empathy. Studying alongside peers worldwide, I learned that human rights, especially sexual and reproductive rights, are not merely theoretical principles, but lived realities, often shaped by local histories, struggles, and triumphs. Whether we were debating landmark judgments, analyzing international treaties, or brainstorming solutions for the pressing global challenges, the passion and perspective in our classrooms were nothing short of inspiring. I am incredibly grateful to our community, a community of professors, lecturers, administrators, and mentors who challenged us to think critically and lead boldly. To the Faculty of Law and to the Center of Human Rights, thank you for your dedication to molding leaders and change agents. Your guidance has been invaluable. I must also thank my family for their unwavering support, and my friends and classmates, to Tracy, Mina, Tina, and Annette, who turned sleepless nights and challenging moments into memories of friendship and laughter. As I reflect on this milestone, and as we reflect on this milestone today, I am reminded of the words of Nelson Mandela. I have walked the long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way, but I have discovered the secret that after climbing the great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. Class of 2024, this is our journey. We have climbed a hill together, but there are many more ahead. Hills that will challenge us to fight harder, think deeper, and lead with courage. The reward for hard work, like the last presenter just said, is indeed more work. As we step into the world as graduates and human rights advocates, let us carry the lessons of this program: empathy, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to justice with us. Let us envision a better world and actively work to build it. The world is truly our oyster, and I believe we'll improve it, even in the human rights space. Thank you, and congratulations to us once again. Thank you.
In their absence, the Excellency, the Ambassador, the Dean in her absence, the Director of the Center, academics, Program Director, fellow graduates and guests. First off, when Prof. Frans asked me to do these words, he said, kept it short. So I'll try and keep it short. Thank you.
Many thanks to our class reps who you elected. I want to thank you for the reflections, but also the encouragement of the work that still lies ahead, that this is really the beginning and not the end of the journey. So now I'd like us to move on to the next segment, where there's the conferment of the Vera Chirwa Award. The Vera Chirwa Award was instituted in 2006 on occasion of the center being awarded the UNESCO Prize. The Vera Chirwa Prize was instituted for the alumnus or alumna of the LLM or MPhil in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa, who best embodies the principles of the program in his or her subsequent career by making a difference to the protection of human rights or the strengthening of democratization in Africa. Allow me to invite Professor Nkata Murungi to invite this year's award winner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Is it afternoon, evening? Good afternoon. And congratulations to all the students who have graduated. You're no longer students, so I should say congratulations to the alumni who have now graduated. I have the pleasure to introduce the recipient of the Vera Chirwa Award this year. I am very excited, just because as I introduced to her, I shouldn't say this, but we had a chat before. And she asked me, why am I nominated? And I told her I will say why you're nominated tomorrow, which is today. But usually it's, this session doesn't, we cannot really say everything that there is to the candidate. As Michelle has begun by saying, Vera Chirwa Award is given to someone who embodies the principles of human rights, governance, and democracy. It's very specific to the period after you have graduated from this program. Essentially, recognizing how we put into practice the learnings from specifically the Human Rights and Democratization Program, I should be specific. We have had a number of recipients since it was instituted in 2006, and the first recipient was in 2007. And there have been a variety of areas of work. Some of the people that we have recognized in this way have been working in the field of human rights. When I mean in the field, we are all in the field of human rights, but some work more in the actual context, in the field, maybe, in that way. And others work in the policy space, others work in judicial structures. And so it has been a different form of contribution every year. This year, we are honoring one of our, this I get wrong every time, alumna. Yes, one of our graduates from the class of 2010. Our recipient this year, as you may have seen from the program, is Ms. Lindiwe Kumalo. She is the current clerk of the Pan-African Parliament. Ms. Kumalo was here in 2010, so that's about 15 years. When I say that, I realize I'm older because at least in this respect, I'm older than her, because I did the program before her. Before joining the program, Ms. Kumalo had done her undergraduate studies in Swaziland, at the University of Swaziland, and graduated with a Bachelor of Laws, and later on had studied a Master's of Management at the University of Witwatersrand, and then subsequently, a few years later, actually before that, did the Center for Human Rights, then WITS, sorry. Before she also came to the program, she had worked in Swaziland on a number of initiatives, including as a chairperson of the Public Commissions of Inquiry, Parliament of the Kingdom of Swaziland, as a chairperson of public boards of directors in Swaziland, and also as a practicing attorney and managing director. However, this award, our recognition of Ms. Kumalo's work, as in line with the criteria, looks at the period after she had graduated from the program in 2010. And one of the first initiatives that she was involved with is as the Chief Executive Officer of the South African Human Rights Commission. After leaving the South African Human Rights Commission, she joined the African Union as an advisor to the chairperson of the African Union on a number of issues, including institutional strengthening and policy. Let me just get it in exact terms, sorry. She was the advisor to the chairperson of the African Union Commission, where she led institutional and policy coherence initiatives, and that is initiatives between the African Union Commission and other organs and specialized agencies of the African Union. She was subsequently appointed as the acting secretary of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in Banjul, and that is a period that lasted from 2021 to 2023, after which she joined the Pan-African Parliament as the Clerk of Parliament. Now, that's, I think that's already a very rich, right? It's a very rich career. But it's what was done in these positions that we are awarding. Mostly when we speak about human rights, a lot of us think about, which is true, it happens, it's part of the job, of being out there in the field, delivering food and delivering, bare necessities for people who are living in very extreme circumstances. But we don't often think about the bureaucracy that makes that possible, the policies that makes it possible for us to think about human rights from a structured point of view, the bodies that generate the policies that convene us here, strengthening them, streamlining them, making them functional. And this award is a recognition of Ms. Kumalo's contribution, significant and huge contribution, to strengthening essential institutions across the African continent and in South Africa through the South African Human Rights Commission, to make them functional for the protection and the promotion of human rights. So this is what we recognize today: your tenacity, your commitment, and sometimes in the face of extreme opposition, most of it which sometimes we know and sometimes we don't. If you don't work in the streets of the African Union very often, you probably don't know, but they are usually sometimes rough waters, and to stay committed to the cause of human rights and to the effectiveness of institutions is a high honor. So join me in celebrating the work and the input and the ongoing, it's still an ongoing work of love in strengthening the protection and the promotion of human rights on the African continent through stronger institutions and streamlined processes at the African Union and in South Africa. Thank you very much. I will now invite the awardee, Ms. Lindy Okumalo to share her reflections briefly, and then we will present the award.
Thank you so much, Professor Nkata, for those kind words and for having captured part of my journey following my graduation at this esteemed university. I wish to recognize the distinguished faculty members who are also present, and also the graduates and their families that are here today. And I wish to join others in congratulating you on your achievements. As Professor Nkata has said, it was 14 years ago that I was sitting in your place in this very room, graduating from the master's program, and a lot has happened since then, and part of which I will share with you this in my acceptance speech. I'm humbled and overwhelmed to receive this great honor conferred on me by my alma mater. I accept it with great humility and regard it by far as the highest honor that I've received for my professional contribution to human rights in Africa. But it's much more an honor that it is conferred in the year in which the Center for Human Rights celebrates its 25th anniversary, which is a high watermark in the work of the center. And it seems fit on this occasion also to acknowledge and recognize the iconic work of Professor Christoph Haynes, and building upon his vision, the work also of Professor Franz, which brought together or conceived of bringing together Africa's brightest and best to be part of a melting pot of human rights advocates and activists in the same place. I was profoundly honored to be one of such candidates selected to be part of the program, and it changed the trajectory of my professional career, and I'd like to share with you some of these things. I would also like to acknowledge Professor Nkata, your leadership of the center, and to congratulate you, also to say that you step into very big shoes. Professor Franz has had the tremendous ability of creating a multi-year cohort of ambassadors, as someone has said, but also an enduring fraternity that sticks together like brothers. We have each other's back, we can call on each other, and I'm glad that on this occasion we welcome you also to that family of alumni that have gone out into Africa, into the continent, into various institutions and various roles, creating impact for ordinary people. I like to see the work of the center as having a pandemic-like effect on the human rights landscape in Africa. The students that graduate from this program have gone out, and through contagion, literally through contagion, like a virus, have infected positively African human rights bodies in a tremendous way. And so I thank the center for recognizing the work of that I've done, and also in doing so, recognizing the teams that I've led in the institutions that I've worked for. Just to give a little bit of context to some of the work, because I think it will be important, Prof, for the graduates who may be joining institutions to have an appreciation of some of the work that you might find yourselves doing in African Union bodies that will make an impact on your communities and on human rights protection and promotion across the globe. As a Chief Executive Officer of the South African Human Rights Commission, I found a golden opportunity to increase the effectiveness and efficiency of this institution. I was drawn to the South African Human Rights Commission because of where it was situated in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. The chapeau, or the heading under which the South African Human Rights Commission fell under institutions supporting constitutional democracy, which suggested to me that there's a correlation between institutions and the strength of a democracy, or the strength of a human rights culture. And I saw that as an opportunity to begin to foster and support the setting of an agenda within the Commission, strategic litigation on very critical cases, fast-tracking some of the backlog that we had found in the South African Human Rights Commission, and strengthening the compliance levels of the state with decisions of the South African Human Rights Commission. As an advisor to His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, I found there an opportunity to make also a contribution to the institutional reform agenda of the African continent. You may know that the African Union is concerned also with issues of human rights and governance to create a more efficient and effective Africa. The project that I worked on within the office of the chairperson, and I had the honor of leading, was creating coherence, looking at where the gaps are that create overlaps between different organs, between the court, the commission, the Children's Committee, and other human rights bodies, and to advise the African Union on how that might be addressed. At the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in the Gambia, an opportunity also presented itself to support special mechanisms of the African Commission to strengthen the work and provide resources, strengthen the resources, both human and financial, of the Banjul Commission, and to ensure that it functions. Presently, I have, with all humility, an opportunity to again play a role in a third organ of the African Union, the African Parliament, also known as the Pan-African Parliament or the People's Parliament, which brings together legislators from 54 African countries to deliberate on human rights issues in Africa. I'm excited for the opportunities that there are within the Parliament, within Africa's Parliament, to play a role in expanding the opportunities for civil society to begin to debate with their legislators the human rights issues of the continent. Having shared all these contributions and expressing my gratitude and honor of being this year's award winner of the esteemed Vera Chirwa Award, I wish to bring you back to where this all started. It's a journey, as I said, that started on this campus, and I hope this story will inspire you to do more. I tell this story because 14 years ago, contemplating where this qualification would take me and how I would be able to make a contribution, the story goes as follows. I'd practiced law for 20 years before I joined this program. So I was one of the oldest students in the class, 39 years old then at the time, and you can do the numbers. So I was in class with other students from the continent who were the ages of my own first two children, who were already themselves at a university at that time. During the introduction session, I made the mistake of presenting what I thought were very illustrious credentials. Top lawyer, blah, 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 blah. And when the script of my first assignment returned from Professor Magnus, then Dr. Magnus, it was littered in red, and I immediately knew that I had said too much. The journey was grueling, to say the least. It was pressured. Of course, at my age, I was balancing both study and other commitments and challenges presented by my age and also family responsibilities that I had at the time. At the end of the first semester, which I barely got to, I was privileged to be posted to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the second semester at the African Commission headquarters. I arrived in Addis Ababa with my classmate, Rumbizai Dube from Zimbabwe, and we reported there as interns. Now, remember now I'm reporting as a 40-year-old, intern at the African Union Commission. Over the 4 or 5 months that I was interning, thanks to the center, were given a range of assignments: photocopying, stapling, printing. By every estimation, I had to, rewind, my years to do those kinds of things. I mean, it hadn't been quite some time since I had. But what encouraged me, and which is a message I'd like to share with you, is the words of Professor Franz that said, "Go and do your best and make yourselves indispensable." He may have said that to you, or you may have heard that. Go and do your best and make yourself indispensable. I worked on every assignment I was given as an intern as if my life depended on it, however menial. And 7 years after that, I returned to the same headquarters of the African Union Commission, this time not as an intern, but as an advisor to the chairperson of the African Union Commission. In this role, I was now advising Africa's #1 diplomat, steering the continent and unpacking how the integration and development agenda of Africa would unfold. If this is anything for you to learn from, and if you can find any inspiration from this story, I would like to leave you with the following life's lessons. First, do not despise humble beginnings. If you find yourself in a role after this graduation, or you're presented with an opportunity after this graduation, seize it as if your life depended on it, because you don't know where that opportunity will take you. The second is, you may need to take 2 steps backward in order to take 10 steps forward. And I'd like you to remember that each time you find yourself with an opportunity that you think is lesser than where you should be, but which, looking back, had to happen that way for you to move forward. And the third lesson, whatever place you find yourself in, work on the assignment as if your life depended on it. 4, Remember the investment made in you by the center and its partners and be grateful. I was sponsored during my year by the European Union, and I'm very grateful that that investment has paid off in the journey that I've walked up until this point. And 5, never forget to give back to the center in any way you can. I heard the Dean say that. Give back to the center, both in cash and in kind. And 6, above all, remember always that there's much yet to do in the African continent in protecting and promoting human rights, democracy, and governance. Be the change that brings about Africa's ambitious agenda, the Africa that we all want. God bless you. Long live the center. And I wish you all the best in your future human rights journeys. Thank you so much for the award, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I feel inspired, and I hope that you also feel inspired in the audience, whether you're a graduating student or a guest celebrating with them. Call me cheeky, but I want to really flag point 5. Never forget to give back to the center in cash or in kind. We'll probably call on you to teach at some point, so please be open to that. And thank you very much, Prof, and thank you, Ms. Lindiwe Kumalo. We're now moving on to the next segment, where we are celebrating completion of the HRDA and the Achievement Awards. I'll invite Prof. Magnus Shilanda to facilitate with that, and ask all the students whose names were mentioned earlier for the prizes to please come to the front and take the seats over here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not here for a speech. You have already had a speech from a white-haired Swede, so we don't need another one. I'll also call on Fatu and Tando and Golda to please also join on this stage. Because in our celebration, we should also acknowledge that sometimes our processes don't function as they should, and apologize for that. So we had 3 students who completed their things on time, but weren't on our official program. And whose great accomplishment we still want to acknowledge. So I've done completion letters for them that they have completed with all the requirements for the degree, even if we'll have to courier their degree certificates to them later on. So to congratulate Fatu on completing the HRDA. And Dando, congratulations on completing. And finally, we have Golda, who is, I should also add, completes with distinction. So some extra applause for Golda. Oh, we should have photographs.
So we can do one at a time, Michael? Or you can do one group one and then individual.
And then we have these like plaques, like a little early Christmas present or something you can hang on your wall. You have already been announced, of course, in the official proceedings, but then you didn't get this thing. So first is the Keba Mbaye Prize for Best Dissertation to Merve Medusha. Congratulations, and here's your prize, and I'm sure we should stand for a photograph. Here we are. And see what other prizes we have. Olawotosin Adegun is awarded the Nelson Mandela Prize for the best academic performance. Congratulations. And hold up so that they can, your achievement can be documented here. And there's more. Lorian Magaka, Victor Dankwa Prize for the best performance in the module Human Rights in Africa in the 2024 LLM Human Rights Democratization in Africa. Of course, this is also known as France module. France is excusing that he couldn't be here. And then we had Ludo Sekwa, Ubuntu Prize for the student who best embodied the spirit of Ubuntu during the 2024 LLM in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa. And this is a special prize. It's voted for by the students themselves. The other ones are we calculate like marks and stuff like that. Here it's the prize for the nicest person according to the club.
You can always rely on Magnus to get back the time. Thank you so much. This now takes us to a bit of a surprise element, I guess, the announcement of internships and PhDs. And just to ask the AVS team to queue up the video to be played immediately after announcement of the, after Lloyd's announcements, please. Thanks. So I'll invite Lloyd Covea, the Assistant Director of the Center for Human Rights, to announce the internships and the PhDs. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of you, class of 2024, all the 3 LLM programs. Welcome to the family. You know, the future of this continent is in good hands. We are so proud of you. There are so many violations on the continent. You can think of the internal armed conflicts in Sudan, in the DRC, in Mozambique, the global crisis on migration, the regression of sexual and reproductive rights in Africa. And with all these challenges that we are facing, we are really quite confident that with the skills and the qualifications that you have attained, you will be able to face those challenges and make a contribution in addressing those challenges. So well done and congratulations to all of you. It is now my privilege to announce the names of people that will be doing internships at the African Union Human Rights Mechanisms. As you will all know, the Center for Human Rights, one of its main areas of focus in terms of contributing to human rights protection on the continent is supporting the work of the African Human Rights Mechanisms. And these are the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, the African Courts on Human and People's Rights, and the African Committee on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. And the 3 people that are going to be deployed to these very prominent institutions for the protection of human rights on the continent are as follows, and if they may come up as we announce who will be deployed to which particular mechanism.
Melville Mugisha, if you may come. Nicholas Kipkoch Chariot. Zororai Nkomo. Now, besides the internships, the selection committee also convened to award doctoral candidates to two deserving candidates who will be tutors for 2025. I would like to invite the following two graduates and now alumni to also come forward. Please come and sit. To also come forward, Oluwatosin Adegun, class of 2024. And in absentia from the class of 2023, Ms. Barbara Lamara Khan. Right, so congratulations to the three of you, and also congratulations to Oluwatosin as she's coming up. The graduate will be deployed to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights from East Africa is Melville Mugisha.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, before you go, please may you stand over here for a photograph together.
Okay. Again from East Africa, the graduate who will be deployed to the African Court on Human and People's Rights is Mr. Nicholas Kipkoch Chariot. Congratulations. Coming back to Southern Africa, the graduate will be deployed to the African Court, to the African Committee on the Rights and Welfare of the Child in Lesotho, Mr. Zororai Nkomo. Ms. Oluwatosin Adegun, you are joining the team of tutors starting in 2025. Congratulations. To the interns, I wish you all the best as you make a contribution to the African Union mechanisms that will be protecting human rights and promoting human rights on the continent. I wish you well and all the best. And Oluwatosin, all the best as you join the team of tutors for 2025. Thank you very much.
Sorry, before you go, we want to capture the moment again. If you can please all just come over here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Celebrations everywhere. So I've been asked during the break, we played a video by the HRDA class, but unfortunately people were moving up and down. So if you'll allow, we'll play that video before we go into the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Naleo tena waiteni paparazi warushe kwa mitandao siataki akamtinda soma na kamwili kananona we mwenyewe si unaona ainasema bora ni njoni maisha mafupi ni siku yani nini tesekero.
Hello. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the HRDA class of 2024. Now, besides the academics and the seriousness of our course, we've been able to form bonds and family within our class. And this has been epitomized by what we have done as a celebration of us getting to the end of this journey, which is the HRDA 2024 cook-off. We've got 3 teams comprised of the entire cohort and split into regions. So we've got a team from West and North Africa, another from East and Central Africa, and another from Southern Africa, all preparing dishes they either love or enjoy, sharing cultures, sharing music. It's been a beautiful day of togetherness, of bonding, of unity, and just of a celebration of the year we've had. And I think this truly embodies what our year has been. Outside of the academics, we have built a relationship. We have formed a family and a bond that we look forward to seeing even on a professional level across the continent and beyond.
Bonjour, Assalamu alaikum, habari zenu. This is the East African team and we're here to win the 2024 HRDA cooking competition. Continue. Introduce for us pocho ambazo tumepika.
From East Africa, we prepare one for delicacies. First on the menu is the famous East African chapati from Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. It is famous for the global phenomenon called the Rolex, good for breakfast and for lunch if you're a bachelor. This is also the beef stew, also from the East African community. We also prepare maharage, otherwise known as beans, another very beautiful delicacy from East Africa. We also prepare the African spinach, good for vegetable, and you can enjoy it as well as the beef stew, which is common across the continent, but especially made in the East African touch. Thank you. Nicholas, what do you think about the program?
Thank you, Katina. One of the most important highlights is the prestige of the program because it produces graduates who are well sought outside their full African region and even globally when it comes to human rights and normalization issues. I don't know, Mayen, what do you have for us?
السنة احتفلنا بالعيد برمضان بالإيستر بالسنة الجديد الإثيوبي. هذا حاجة في البروجرام إحنا كلنا جايين من حتات مختلفة من cultures مختلفة من religions مختلفة. Michael?
This program is rich and deep. We have three modules that are applicable to African professional solutions at the same time. And the detail is about the second semester where the rest of the world and experience our ways. So we go to class from 1 at 7 a.m. and in the class at 5 in the evening. And also let's do assignment for the day, so it's quite challenging. And in the rest of the day, we have to condition that you can.
Nous recommandons au Centre des droits de l'homme de rejoindre d'autres partenaires et aussi s'intéresser beaucoup plus aux universités situées en Tanzanie, là où il y a la Cour africaine des droits de l'homme, et aussi en Gambie, là où il y a la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme.
Yes, so the HRDA 2024 has always been about community and family.
It's the West African team. As you can see, this is the entire team. This is the entire team we have representing and coming. So for today's competition, West African team is coming with jollof rice and achake. So the jollof rice is handled by Dorcas and Fatu, and then the achake, Fabian and Melissa.
So my main takeaway of this HRDA program is so we can start this program as a very serious at the end of the class. One of the main challenges
We've got lentils done in a Mauritian kind of way. It's going to be good. Southern Africa is bringing it in.
And you know what, not just Southern Africa, but I think what's more important about this exercise and everything that we've done as a class is we're able to come together. We are people that know how to act into the role. You know, everyone brings their own variety. So just like what you're saying, someone brings this and that, this is what is very unique. Throughout the year, us coming together as a family, doing everything that we can. Southern Africa have both scored 508.5. So we have a tie. This tie will be broken at a soccer game on Sunday between the two teams. Let's see who will take it. And that's the spirit of HRD. Any opportunity to do something together, we're doing it. Let's see what happens.
Unfortunately, we couldn't see the video, so I'll see the video after. We could catch some of it, but we haven't seen the full of it. But by all accounts, I believe you had a lot of fun. That is, that's the essence. I have a very simple job because I know that right now I am the last person between you and food. And I'm also the last person between you and leaving this hall. So I don't want to keep you here for much longer. But as always, this has been, it has been the culmination of an eventful year. I guess when you go back and you sit and you take stock of the year for the students, you realize how eventful it has been. I remember when you came and when you had the opening ceremony, if at all you can remember, because I think people are so excited and, you know, consuming many other things. I don't think you remember. And I said, you should celebrate the opening event because the next time you get to celebrate is when you walk across the stage. In between, there is not a lot of celebrating happening. Probably you didn't believe me, but I'm sure you can agree now. That in between there is a lot less celebration, a lot more griping, a lot more work. And now you're here, you're celebrating. So I think in a way we join you to celebrate, also to say, please go home. Okay, I'm kidding, but I know you also want to go home. It's a good thing. It's at least to see something to come to the end. It's always a very pleasurable moment for us to see this every year, to celebrate a cohort that comes and finishes. We don't take it for granted. There are very few programs that actually finish in such a way, so we are very proud. Allow me to just take a step back and say, you know, when we do this second part of the ceremony, it can sound as if it's just about the HRDA. So, I think some of our other students may have stepped out. I'm not sure if they're still here. But we have students graduating in the Sexual and Reproductive Rights in Africa program, and students graduating in the Masters in Multidisciplinary Human Rights. And I know truly that because we often focus on the HRDA, we may lose sight of that. We are celebrating 25 years of the HRDA. I haven't had a lot of celebrating. I think we should really be very proud to be the 25th cohort of the HRDA. But we are also celebrating 10 years of this Masters in Sexual and Reproductive Rights in Africa this year. We are very proud of this program. And even though the ambassador had already left and the Swedish government provides a significant amount of support to this program, if you've been following events across this continent, but now forget the continent. Now we even have to worry about the US. You know, we didn't have to, but now we have to worry about the US, whatever side of the divide you stay in. And a lot more other developments across the world. There has never been a time as this that actually people have to take positions about things. You actually have to have a value system and stand up for it, because everything is up for grabs. Everything is being challenged. And we really have very little in the traditional depending on certain groups and certain people to defend people. It's now really up to us. And programs such as the Sexual and Reproductive Rights in Africa program, the multidisciplinary program, Human Rights in Africa, they equip us to think about things that sometimes are very uncomfortable conversations across this continent, but which we need to have. Because if we are not having those conversations, certain other people are having them on our behalf. And all we do is complain when the results of the conversations come. I think, at least as a continent, it is time to stop complaining and take responsibility and take leadership about the things that we are always on the victim side of. Right. That doesn't sound like a very celebratory note. But I think it's a reality must sink in that we are on our own. But we are not afraid, because we actually have what is required to shape our future. And especially if you're graduating from any of these programs, you are taking up a responsibility to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, to stand up for yourself based on the values that you have internalized out of this, and to utilize your skill for the advancement of society. In a different context, I was just reflecting on, the center is this year 38 years. That doesn't sound like a lot, but 40 is here. And 40 years, depending on where you come from, 40 years is a generation. And if you think about it, what will the center look like in 40 years? Will the center still exist? Will you be working in 40 years? Some of you are still lucky to have about 40 years to your working career, depending on which country you come from. A lot of us will not be in the workforce. Will be long gone from the workforce. What will human rights look like? The world is changing very rapidly, so rapidly that the training you receive now is sometimes already obsolete before you get the degree, because information is moving so fast. So this is really, it's an induction to a way of thinking, to a community, to a value system that you will have to keep yourself going and engaging with and contributing to and co-creating as the years go by. So this knowledge that you gain and that you exit this hall with, this year with, is not everything you need, but it's everything you need to start. So I hope that we will utilize this moment, that we take it heavily, we take the responsibility seriously, that we will be part of the solution. So we are very proud of the 25 years of the HRDA. We are very proud of the 10 years of the SRRA. And just as we celebrate this, we also celebrate you as the graduates. As you join the community of alumni, we are almost 1,000 strong across the continent, you come to a community that will change you, that, as Madame Lindiwe said earlier, we have each other's back in a very, very strong and unique way. That if you go to any part of this continent, any country, the first thing you ask yourself is, are there alumni in that country? It doesn't matter the year that they are from. If you just ask, are there alumni in that country? And you're given a contact and you reach out to them, they automatically, it's almost always guaranteed that you will get a welcome in, I would not say every country because we haven't been in every country, but at least in more than 80% of the African continent. I think that's a huge asset. And I want to welcome you to that community to ask that you contribute to the community positively and grow it, not just for yourself, but for the next 40 years and for the next 25 years of those who are going to come 25 years after you. They should be able to look back and count on you. These programs are made possible through the efforts of many and who play very different roles. Earlier on, we had faculty and colleagues up here. They play a huge role throughout the years in supporting the teaching, the research, supervision, marking, and yeah, sometimes going beyond those two other things that we should not even have to think about. It's not in the job description. These programs are made possible by partners who go beyond, far above the call of duty. A lot of them, as we were acknowledging earlier in this room, for those who offer the programs with us from other countries, who invest their time and resources, both material resources and financial resources, to make these programs successful. These programs are made possible by funding partners who have believed in the vision of human rights education across the African continent and who have been very consistent. And in absentia, we once again want to thank the European Union through the Global Campus. As some of you may know, we are the Africa campus of the Global Campus of Human Rights. And the European Union has pretty much supported this program since its inception in the different variations, different forms of support, and we continue to enjoy generous support of the European Union. We are very, very grateful to the Swedish Development Corporation, as was said earlier, in absentia through the ambassador of Sweden to South Africa, because their support makes it possible for us to have this conversation on sexual and reproductive rights as one element of a broader cooperation. We highlight this because, as I began by saying, the world is going in a very different direction. So to have bold partners that believe in the vision of not just talking, but supporting African voices to build evidence so that we can engage from a point of evidence. This is a huge, huge contribution, and we are really, truly grateful. This is not all the partners that make this possible. Some of them contribute in different ways. They support aspects of students' visits. They support partners who come to support us, or rather to teach. Some of them, like the Dutch Embassy, now get into trouble if I start naming them because I won't get to the end. So let me stop. There's a list of partners that provide support to us, which is incredibly helpful to make this happen. So reiterating what the awardee of the Vera Chirwa Award and Michelle said, please, take a moment to appreciate the investment and to multiply the investment through passing it forward, through knowledge, because, donors are people like us. Donors are not rich, foreign people. Money that comes from donors often comes from taxpayers, people who have very little. So they don't fund us out of luxury. They fund because they believe in the cause. And I invest is because you believe in something. So because someone has believed in us to do this, to change the world through human rights education, let's just commit to take it seriously. We want to thank our faculty and colleagues The faculty supports us, as the dean was here earlier and said, and we are very grateful for the support we receive, because otherwise it would not be possible to present this kind of program. The Center for Human Rights is lucky to be the only department, or, if I dare say, the only faculty that has a specialist graduation like this one. So this is a high honor from the university as well, and we are truly grateful. Finally, before I go, I want to thank colleagues who burned the midnight oil to make these events happen. Colleagues from the center, I know that it's a job we do, but, but a lot of the times it goes far beyond the call of duty. Colleagues who have supported, who have been ushering us in, making these roles work, communication with different agencies, putting together these programs. The HRDA project as led by Michelle and Rotondo, who a lot of you have been dealing with, Rotondo, who is not here for the SRRA, Tatenda with the multidisciplinary human rights, Magnus here, who you all know by now. While I am on that, one person who really wanted to be here today and wasn't here is Professor Franz Filion, who you all know, who we call the godfather of the program, who doesn't like that word very much. But he did ask that I convey his regret for not being able to be here because he had to take up responsibilities at the UN. But just as all of you know, I am a product of his belief and investment in our capacities. He and Professor Christoph Heinz, the late, really were the founders of this vision and have carried it for a very long time and continue to do so every day relentlessly. So allow me also to just honor Professor Franz Filion in his absence for all his support. And as Lindy was said, I stepped in very big shoes. But I have been lucky because the shoes were never empty. So I didn't need to fill the shoes. The shoes were never empty. He never, for any moment, abandoned everything to us. He's been still a very present and continuing support for the work that we do. So thank you very much. And then finally, to the families, friends, parents, partners, children, you know all the people you give a hard time to get here, to all those. Just want to say thank you. As Franz has been the support and the hand behind HRDA together with Professor Christoph Heinz, Professor Charles Ngwena he's the godfather of the Sexual and Reproductive Rights program. And he continues to be in our faculty, though he is not here currently with us. And we also just want to truly honor his contribution as we mark 10 years of the SRRA. Colleagues, friends, alumni, thank you very much. Congratulations. We have refreshments downstairs. Okay, not out there. You go out and then you go down the stairs in the base. It's a basement. It's the Rautenberg Hall. Yes, downstairs. There's some refreshments and you're invited to join us. Thank you very much.